to vote for that woman, Pamela Pack, weren't they? And the fact that she was stopped is, in some ways, that was a good result, because that was a real contest, actually, in that seat, wasn't it?
Well, it was a concern a few weeks ago, that the pro-China campaign mobilized, but the outcome seemed that they didn't. But some of the local groups did mobilize, right? But not in the major force. The outcome indicates, I think one thing about this election, and it's difficult to assess the situation by counting our opponents' number of votes, because so many groups didn't come out to vote. So the main assessment is the number of votes that the 5 candidates representing the League of Social Democrats and the Civic Party received in this election. And then you compare that with those votes that the Pan-Democrat have in 2008. I think that is the main comparison. That will illustrate the number of support that we have this time from the Pan-Democrat voters. And
as regards the actual number of votes, okay, it was a low turnout in some regards, but on the other hand, as a foreigner, I would say that still to mobilise 500,000 people is impressive. To get people to actually physically get out of bed, or physically walk down to the polling station and to do that. In some regards, the fact it was this kind of a by-election thing, it's still impressive to mobilise that number of people to actually do something, not just to say something, but to actually physically go and vote. It is, in some ways, it is impressive.
Well, that is a people's choice. When some reporter, asked me a question, saying that the election, my election victory, and asked for my response, I said this is not my victory. This is people's victory. Because Hong Kong's people, when you look at the pressure that we have, because of the Chinese Communist government's objection of this election, the Hong Kong chief executive indicating that he is not voting, and said his team of officers are not voting, and that put a lot of pressure on Hong Kong people. And there were all kind of negative things going on in the community, threatening people if they, intend to vote. So there are people that being scared off. When you look at all the situation, and also the Pan-Democrat is not united, right? When you look at all the negative factors, we still have received the 5 candidates representing the Civic Party and the LSD still have close to 500,000 votes. As you said, that is impressive. I mean, people are gathering themselves and putting the political message through voting. That is one thing that has never been done before on Chinese soil. Right.
And also in terms of the Democratic Party, that they could have done more to help you guys, couldn't they, actually? I mean, looking at the statistics and so on in terms of presidency, have I got to be careful? Have you got to be careful what you're going to say on that?
Well, in the past few months, I keep saying, okay, I won't ask for your help. Okay, if you don't help, I understand, but don't ruin and don't destroy our campaign. I keep begging them. Okay, even though if you don't support our campaign, okay, I do understand we have different approach. I will do mine and you will do yours. But don't create negative sentiments against our campaign. I keep begging them in the past few months, but they still use all kind of way and means to create negative criticism against us, especially Sito Hua, the old man.
But of course, you should be pretty encouraged in the sense that if you look at the 2008 electoral election, the Pan-Democrats got almost 900,000 votes. Yeah. And this time you see the coalition, I mean, with the LSD and the Civic Party. We know that these two parties, in terms of the district foundation, of course, I mean, you have been in the district in your area for a long, long time. But in terms of the two parties, the district work were not that solid. I mean, compared to the Democratic Party. And of course, you do, as you say, you do have some other people in the Pan-Democratic camp doing something, ruining the whole campaign. But we see this time more than 500,000 votes here. So this is much more than half of what the whole Pan-Democratic camp was getting last time. So it was pretty encouraging if you look at it from that angle, wouldn't you? I mean, these would be the so-called iron tickets that keep you iron ballots next time.
Not good enough.
Not good enough.
To me, not good enough. I expect more because, as I said earlier, this is not a election to vote for Albert Chan, right? Okay, if this is a single a normal election, voting for a candidate, voting for Albert Chan, I will be extremely proud.
But what I mean is that, of course, we're not looking at it from a personal angle. But what I mean is that there are more than half of those pan-democratic supporters. We are talking about half of them were one of the solid supporters. They are really determined. They have strong determination. So at least, which is not bad at all. If you
have a referendum voting for your future, you should expect more. That is my initial thinking. But as I said, when you judge the outcome, with all those negative things against you, at the end, when you look at that, it is not too bad.
That's maybe why when you did your oath yesterday, you emphasized very strongly that you are a logical member of the HASAR, the People's Republic of China. You emphasized the word people.
The people, yeah. And I'm the people's counselor.
Yeah. I'm interested to ask you, Albert. What was it actually like psychologically for you to actually do that, to go through that whole process of this particular campaign? Because it can be pretty stressful, isn't it?
Oh, very different.
Having so many meetings, and so many different rallies and so on. That what was it like for this particular
campaign?
Yeah,
Well, this campaign is very different because for any election, either in district council or the regional council or legislative council, okay, this is my 16th campaign in the past 25 years.
Wow.
Right? So I've been in a lot of campaign, but this is one of the most difficult campaign that I've ever run because, in ordinary campaign, you have a very clear strategy, you have a very clear target, and you have the goal that you want to achieve, and you have a plan to achieve that goal. In most cases, we manage, right? This is why, we continue to become councillor. But in this campaign, the scope is so big. It is totally out of your control. For the thing that you try to do, you can't assess the impact that you can generate, from the effort which you put in. So for the past few months, we try to do this and try to do that. We have, try our utmost, but till the opening, the ballot box, we didn't really know the actual impact of our effort. That is very stressful.
Well, I've got to stop you there. We've run out of time for part one, but we're going to continue this conversation in part two.